Hello, I'm Neil Whelan, and welcome to the Wesleyan Podcast. In this episode, brought to you by Wesleyan Financial Services, Monica Pacult and Regional Manager Oonagh Morrison join up to talk about the value of financial advice for teachers. They'll be going through the kinds of plans financial advisors can come up with during a financial review, what solutions could be best for you, and why it's important to speak to someone well before retirement comes around, especially as Wesleyan does a lot more than pensions advice. Just to point out, although the subject of this podcast is about the value of financial advice, it doesn't actually constitute financial advice. But don't worry, because if you do need to talk to someone about your finances, I'll be back at the end to tell you how to get in touch with us. And with that, I'll hand you over to Oonagh. And first up, Monica.
Hi Oonagh and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi Monica, thank you for having me.
Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, a little bit of background?
Yes, of course. I'm not as young as I used to be, so I've been in financial services now for over 25 years, which feels a lot shorter than it actually sounds. For 15 years of that, I've been with Wesleyan, 13 years advising, and a couple of years now managing a team of specialist financial advisors. So I'm Wesleyan through and through at this point.
Sounds like you've got a lot of experience there. Well, we're here today to talk about the value of financial advice and how much it is actually worth. So if we think about teachers and the teaching profession, how can they benefit from financial advice?
Being in financial services for as long as I've seen the impact of good financial planning in many, many cases. Ultimately, what I would always have said to my clients is you don't know what you don't know. And even if you think that you don't need advice, you probably do. There's things that you may have done that you could have done better. There are things maybe you should be doing that you're not doing at all. So a good advisor offers a holistic plan tailored to you. And that's another thing that I think people tend to fall down on when they don't receive financial planning, is just doing what someone else has done because it sounds good. What was good for someone else and what's good for you may not be the same thing. But I think at the moment, with the profession in mind, we have an increasing amount of teachers that do not want to stay in the profession until the scheme pension age, which is now state pension age. The job's busy, the job's getting more stressful, and a lot of clients do want to retire earlier. But the pitfall that they've got themselves into is they haven't necessarily thought about how that's going to happen. It sometimes doesn't happen naturally. It needs to be planned for. And with careful planning, it may be possible to even go earlier than you thought you might be able to. So that's where we help you make the plans that get the retirement that you want. So during a review, an advisor will talk about you and not your colleague and not your friend or your brother. And they'll establish with you exactly what you want, the position that you're in now, and then also use the tools that we've got, such as cash flow modelling, to be able to look forward and make adjustments, changes, and tweaks, so that then we'll be able to project that this is the income that you need, this is what will keep you financially solvent in retirement, but also making sure that you can afford all the things that you want to do. So you'll get your desired retirement at the right time in a financially solvent way. So I like to think of our advisors as problem solvers. They help you put the pieces of the puzzle together, identify needs, identify things that you need to do, and make the most of your hard-earned income so that when all is said and done, you get what you need at the right time.
Thanks, Oonagh. That's really insightful. When we think about financial advice, as with many things, there are a number of stereotypes and misconceptions surrounding it. In your experience, have you come across this at all with regards to financial planning, financial advice?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are numerous misconceptions, and the main one is, I would say, that I don't need financial advice. And it's in the teaching profession, they have a really brilliant, solid pension scheme behind them. And that assumption sometimes is born of the mind, well, I don't need financial planning because I've got this scheme and it will provide enough. It will provide, absolutely, and it is a fantastic asset. But again, back to a previous point, you have to plan for the retirement that you want. So sweeping the board and saying the scheme will give enough, well, what is enough? We need to quantify that. We need to identify what that actually needs or means for you. So it has to be tailored and personalized to you, and that's why you still need advice. What is the retirement that you want to build? What does it look like? Where will you go? Who will you spend time with? And will you have enough money to do that? So what is enough? So that's the question I would normally have asked my clients when I was advising. Another common misconception is, well, you only take financial advice when you've got money. So, investments are for wealthy people, people who have more than enough. That's, again, not strictly true. We, as advisors, often help people start to begin to create the wealth. I mean, those people who have a lot of money, they started somewhere. And sometimes our job is to actually start people off. So we help people create the wealth as well as manage it. So within that, we don't just deal with investments. We have a duty of care to work with our clients, to work towards the goals, yes, but things can come out of left field, on sickness, injury, unfortunately death as well, and that can dislodge all of the plans the great plans that you have in mind. So we have a forward-facing view, of course, but we also look with our clients as to how to underpin the money that they've got, the wealth that they're building, the income that they create through working as a teacher in the profession. So we cover all of the bases. So, and it's not just investment based. So the services that we provide are actually very, very broad. And then the final one that it springs to mind there is when a teacher approaches Wesleyan for advice, they tend to come to us with the pension in mind. And more often than not, they have identified us as the pension people, inverted commas. But that again would be diluting the effect of the services that we provide. We provide a full range of services using the pension and looking outside it as well. We place the pension at the heart of what we do, but a lot more goes on around it. So when you come to us, then you're not just going to talk about your pension, you're going to talk about everything else, because they're all interconnected, they all interlink, and they all need advised on in their individual component parts as well.
Thanks, Oonagh. Yeah, that actually leads me on to my next question. You lead a team of specialist financial advisors who offer support and guidance to teachers, head teachers, and other senior leadership positions within schools. What is it that your team of advisors does that sets them apart from other financial advisors?
I think that the title that we've given our advisors has the key word in it, and that word is specialist. So we specialize in your profession as a teacher. So yes, our advisors are as they need to be to operate in this regulated world that we work in. They're highly skilled and they're qualified in financial advice. But the edge that we have that other advisors may not have is that we also fully understand you, the profession, your job, how you came to be a teacher, your progression through your qualifications, your layers of employment, and more importantly, maybe the scheme itself. I mean, the scheme has many intricacies, many nuts and bolts. It's been subject to a lot of changes over the years, and we understand that. So we take all that technical stuff, all that complexity, and we apply the financial planning rules as well. And overall, then the service that our clients are provided with is at a level that's definitely pitched above what they may receive somewhere else. We do have a lot of chartered financial planners in our teams as well. So a chartered financial planner has worked very, very hard to get where they are, and that is almost like the pinnacle of qualification in the advice arena. I did it myself, and it took me, between working and studying, it took some 10 years to get myself from A to B. But you do have a much then elevated level of qualification and knowledge and skills to present advice to your clients. I mean, you can't liken it back to what you expect of a teacher that you've sent your child to. You trust that when you send a child to school, they'll be looked after by someone who's qualified, educated, and expert, and will look after your child. That's exactly what we do for our clients. So you can, as I've said before, you can speak to colleagues, you can speak to family members, you can speak to someone in a pub of a Saturday night, but they're not qualified to offer sound financial advice in a specialist way, and that's what we do.
Thank you, Oonagh. That's all been really insightful. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today, but thank you very much for coming onto the podcast, and we hope to have you back on again soon.
You're very welcome. It's been nice talking to you.
And that's our show for this week. Thank you to Monica and Oonagh. If you are looking for expert financial advice, go to wesleyan.co.uk, where you can book an appointment with one of our specialist financial advisors. To clarify, charges may apply, but we won't charge you until you've agreed the services you require and the associated costs. You can learn more about that at wesleyan.co.uk/charges. As for finding out about Wesleyan more generally, you can find us on the website formerly known as Twitter, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And if you found the podcast useful, you can like and subscribe to us on all the usual platforms, as well as on YouTube, where there's a whole library of videos covering a wide range of financial planning topics. But that's it for now. So until next time, thanks for listening.